Hanging out. Chilling. Copy this over into Discord. That way you guys can nerd out with me. Mastering a song live. Checking. All right, we're still rocking on the chat. Hell yeah. I hate how my screen likes to go full screen and do crazy things. I need to change this to public. Done. Save. Let's hang out, guys. Let's do the thing. Got chat pulled. I got a gear cam ready to go. We're going to master this song with some outboard gear. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure I've got my volume turned down. Public. Yeah, we're live. Hanging out. Mastering a song live. Now. Yeah, anybody chilling. Hanging out. Make sure I've got my gear cam rocking. Get this resituated in the right spot. Make sure that I got my Bus Plus in the gear cam here. Because I'm going to be using that. You bet I'm going to be using that thing. That mid-side mode on that Bus Plus is it's a game changer. I hate that word. It's a game changer, but it really is a game changer. So, alright, hooking up some power so my gear cam doesn't die midstream here. We'll pull up our good old stream health metrics. See what the YubTub's got to say. Yeah, hanging out, doing the thing. I'm going to switch over here to my main view. You guys should be able to see I've got my hardware right here. I'm in Pro Tools hanging out. I got a song up here from a Discord user named Nick. So we're going to master this song today. I've got a bus call today here in a couple hours. Going back out on the road for a one-off show. So figure we can knock this out for Nick real quick. Yeah, gonna be rocking some outboard. I'm gonna go ahead and play the song real quick. That way we can actually make sure we can hear it. Probably because I'm in 96K. me just kind of explain like some of my session routing real quick, what I've got going on. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll hide this gear cam real fast. Where are you? Gear cam. We'll hide that and I'll explain, kind of go over what I've got, how my mastering session's set up, how I've got it routed, all that fun stuff. So I've got right here is Nick's Mix. Nick's Mix. Nick's Mix. That's a tongue twister. So I'm gonna label this. We'll make it green. That way I know that's my starting file. So we've got Nick's Mix here. I've got a series of buses down here that I'll route through whenever I'm doing mastering. So I've got my very first one here is filters and saturation. So I'll start with low high pass filters, back EQ, just kind of general tone shaping. I'll go into my compression stage 1, which is either going to be our Vari-Mu or it's going to be the Bus Plus. Vari-Mu has been the staple for a long time. It's kind of the one that I've been leaning on pretty hard, the UAD one, but we've got the hardware in today, so we're going to try that. That goes into upward compression or some downward expansion. We're going to use some OTT for that. Life hack, thank you Buster for showing us that you can use this in Pro Tools. Two separate EQ stages. One has a multiband on it in case I need to grab anything at this stage, and then EQ2 is an EQ match, just to kind of see like where I am or where we're at compared to like commercial mastering curves. And then my last stage is my loudness stage. This is where I'm going to do some clipping and some limiting. This is where we're going to get our final volume. This mix was mixed pretty hot already. I mixed it through this is the first mix we used through the Bus Plus. It was rocking dual mono mode. I think it was like a 20 millisecond attack, auto release. I don't even think I used the dynamic stuff. So I think all like the fancy extra bands and things like that aren't even in use for the mix. So we might play with some of that today on the mastering side of things. But yeah, I'll go ahead and pull my gear cam back up here. Get that guy back up so you guys can see what's happening on the Bus Plus. And then on this side, I'll go ahead and I'll play the song. That way we can hear it. No, I mean, I'm in zero latency mode. It should be no problem. Yeah, and then you'll notice down here I have all my delay compensations are turned off because I'm not going to be doing anything in parallel. So I don't have to worry about tracks being lined back up in Pro Tools. Something I will say is this session is at 96K. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save us a quick session down into 48K. So hopefully that will free up some of our DSP, some of our processing while we're running all this extra stuff in the background. But it was actually mixed at 48K, so I'm not going to be doing any damage on this. I upsampled to 96 in order to take advantage of plug-in cramping, or to take advantage of the lack of plug-in cramping, I guess, but we can always oversample at 48K. So we'll go ahead and do that. Real quick way to free up some DSP. Save the session copy. Audio files, main playlist selected. Selected timelines. I want anything that says root, don't click it. You just want session. Stay away from the root shit. You're gonna end up with impossible file management. And we're gonna save this at 48K. Main playlist selected, timeline, blah blah blah. Sick. Save it to the disk. We'll call this Nick Mastering 48K. This is 48. And it's downsampling that to 48K, but we're going to ditch that whenever we get in the session because the actual track is mixed at 48, so we don't need the upsampled, downsampled, truncated version. Audio bridge 2B. We need our Pro Tools audio. That is audio bridge 2A. I'm gonna go ahead and check, make sure everything's still rocking. Heck yeah, we're rocking down to 48K now. Gotta love it. So I went from 96 down to 48 really quick. I'm gonna go ahead and ditch this file because this file is the wrong file. That's the truncated file. So we can go ahead and pull in the mix 2 for mastering. We'll copy that over. Open that. And we'll just drag that right on up there. Now we've got the appropriate track in place. I'm going to go ahead and play this, make sure we've got audio, and then we'll go ahead and dive on in and start mastering the song. I'm going to go ahead and bypass that. It doesn't like that plugin for some reason. Just a room correction, no biggie. Here we go. You guys got audio? Everything coming through on y'all? I want to make sure that all you guys can hear everything and all that before I really start diving into this. Yeah, just holler if someone let me know. You guys make sure that the audio is coming through. Make sure you guys can hear me. And then we'll go ahead. Sorry guys, I'm just resizing the chat box real quick. You got a thunderstorm coming in over here. It's popping in bad. Alright, let's go ahead and dive into the song. Ooh, it got dark. It got dark. Yeah, there's a storm coming in. Alright, we'll go ahead and we'll play around with our filters here. This just kind of gets rid of some rumble. This gets rid of like a lot of low-end stuff that I'm not going to be playing around with that much, that we don't need. It's going to be essentially just cramping out our compressors there at the end. So let's go ahead and check this out. I gotta pop this room correction on. This is fucking with me. Simple. We'll just roll off some low end. We'll just start off by rolling off a little bit of low. Caden, what's up, dude? Alright, sweet. Glad you guys got audio. Glad you guys can hear. So yeah, we're going to shave off a little bit of low end. Filter at 12 hertz. These filters are super duper slow. Like they're borderline like 3 dB per octave shelves. So these are extremely large, extremely long throw, very musical filters. So it's just kind of taking all the low end side of the mix and just kind of going, like probably by like a quarter of a dB, honestly. So we'll start there, and let's see if we want a saturation option real quick. I've been really digging the SPL, or sorry, not the SPL, the Make Believe, the mix head. So this thing for me is a pretty cool saturator. I do love this thing. Factory default, no. I want the Westfall Audio, the one. So let's go ahead and play around with this, see if we can maybe tame down some of the transient spike information, and then add a little bit of like cool, like toppy, high frequency compression kind of vibes, just on the snare.
Let's come around. still see it. People come and go, get used to seeing them leaving.
I find like a heavier spot in the song, like where there's more going on.
Wait right there, we'll be back before you know it. Crystal.
Kind of idea.
Wait right there, we'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear, you get back what you put in, my dear.
It's cool, man. It's cool. It's really cool. It's adding a cool flavor to it. It's adding like some cool sheen and some cool like saturation in the top end. The only thing that I'm kind of fighting with right now is I feel like I might be collapsing the stereo image a little tiny bit. So I might be, that's kind of the only thing right now is I'm bypassing in and out where I like the saturation and the excitement that it's adding to the mix bus, but I don't know if I like how it's taking the width and it's kind of making it go just a little tiny bit. So that's the only thing I'm fighting right now with this. I'm going to bypass it in and out and make a decision.
Wait right there.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to look down. I'm just going to hit my mouse like a million times on this bypass button. The plugin's actually in, and we're just going to click it in and out. We're going to shoot from the hip and make a decision. So I'm looking away. I've clicked it a million times. I have no idea what the option is. Here we go. I'm not looking at my screen.
Wait right there, we'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear, you get back what you.
I don't know what that is, but I like it. You guys know what it is. I don't. I prefer that sound. That's with it. I thought that was without it. I thought I was going to prefer it without it. So that's one of those things. You always surprise yourself. I literally thought I was not going to like what this thing did. I blind tested myself. I pushed my mouse a billion times, not looking at meters, and my ear told me I liked it. So I'm not going to second guess it. I'm not going to get in my head about it. Let's move on. So filter saturation, check, we're done. We'll go ahead and move over to our compression. So this is where I'm going to start messing around with the solid state logic. I already know what the Vari-Mu does. I'm very familiar with that sound and how I use that. Heart Flame, oh, hey, yo, what's up? What's happening, man? How you doing? Thanks for jumping in, watching the craziness before I got to go out on tour. I'll leave for bus call here in like 2 hours. So figure we'll knock out a mix or a master real quick. So we'll go ahead. Like I said, I already know what the Vari-Mu is going to do. I already know how it's going to respond and react. So let's try the Bus Plus as a mastering compressor in mid-side mode. And as you can see down here, I've already got it. It's set up in mid-side already. So you can go through the modes, classic, out of the console. They trolled us all by giving us the SSL clone circuit in the actual SSL. We've got a dual mono mode, which is what I used on this mix. This was mixed in dual mono. And then we're going to go ahead and do mid-side mode. So what I've got, I'm going to take your attention to some of the settings here. I'm pretty sure I had this thing jacked up from yesterday. So I'm going to really quickly check my dynamic bands, make sure that all those settings are right. So low frequency is set to 40 Hertz, 4 dB of range. On the left side, we'll check the right side. It's not set the same. So this is how you change the frequency and the range that the thing's going to operate in. So we want 40 Hertz. Tell you what, let's go one click up. We'll go like 60-ish Hertz for this song. And I'll go back over here and we'll switch that up to 60-ish Hertz. Let's check the high frequencies, make sure that they're good. So I'm going to bring, so this is for the center channel, and this is for the the side channel. Center channel, I'm going to bring this down into like the 6K-ish area. And then on the sides, that's down at the 4K, or that's down at, for the sides, I'm going to bring this, tell you what, let's try it both at the same setting. It'll give us a good uniform starting spot. So one click below 8, one click below 8, So yeah, the settings on the dynamic bands are matched. I'm going to kick them off for now. We're going to start with those out. Here we go. Attack is at 40 milliseconds, so it's as slow as it goes. Release is set to auto. The auto 1 setting. We're down at 1.3 to 1. We might go to 1.5 dependent. And I have the attack set this way, that way all of the transients are coming straight through to begin with. So the compression basically is, it's super minimum. I'm not going to get a massive compression effect whenever I first start dialing back this threshold. When we start changing these attack times, this compressor is going to start reacting in very wild ways. So here we go. I'll go ahead and kick the Buzz Plus in. That's on. And then I'm going to run some signal. It's bypassed. We'll kick it in, and then we'll start pulling the thresholds back and seeing what's happening.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
So it's kind of just acting like a leveler. All of the transients are allowed through. One thing that I'm learning really fast with this thing is that it's able to really quickly give you a visual representation of your center channel versus. So in order to see that on this unit, you've got to actually move the attack time a little faster. So I'm going to, and you can see the difference between the left VU meter, which is the mid channel, and the right VU meter, which is the sides. So if the left one is compressing harder, going farther down than the right, that means your center channel is hotter than your sides. And then vice versa. If the right side is compressing farther than the left, then your sides are hotter than your center. I'm going for a good balance. I want good balance between my center channel and my sides. I want a big, even, massive sonic picture. So I'm gonna roll these attacks down to 1 millisecond. And we're going to see what the differential is essentially, or what the delta is between our center channel and our sides channel. So we'll see how essentially off we were in the mix, and if we have to address a monitoring situation in our environment later. So let's check that out.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
So you'll see on the left side here, which is the mids, I'm compressing about maybe a dB or 2 hotter than the sides. So that's showing me that my center channel is driving maybe a dB or 2 hotter than the sides. I have to ask myself, what is driving the center channel? Is it the drums, is it the bass, or is it the vocals? And do I like that sitting just above the sides or not? So I'm going to go ahead and play this again, and I'm going to play around with the attack times really fast and see if we can't get them maybe compressing a little bit more evenly.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
Alright, just like that, even compression on the center and the sides, just by changing the attack times. So I ended up, on the center side, I ended up at 10 milliseconds. On the sides, it's 0.1 milliseconds, so as fast as it can go. Now, a cool thing, I'm going to go ahead and bypass this in and out. We'll hear what that's doing.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back. Wait right there.
I do like kind of where that's sitting. So one cool feature about this thing is you can solo the sides and the center channel independently and just hear kind of what you're doing on that. So I'm going to click and hold channel 1 here, and it's going to solo the sides. Or it's going to solo out the center channel. That way I can really hear what I'm doing on the center. So here we go.
Wait right there.
why, but whenever I hit that 200 millisecond release, that 0.2 release on that center channel, I feel like it just comes to life. So I'm going to leave it there, and then I'm going to tweak the attack setting just a little tiny bit. Maybe try to get a smidge more just bah out of that snare and out of that kick drum.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in my.
Like 1 millisecond attack or 10 millisecond attack more. So let's listen.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in my dear.
Alright, I feel like the 10 millisecond attack lets the vocal breathe a little bit more. Seconds, make a quick A and B comparison there, and we'll move on.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Alright, I get more snap out of 15, so I'm going to leave that there. We'll bypass it in and out, make sure we're not driving too much gain.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Take that in, go back into regular mode, and we'll solo the sides and do the same thing. Here we go. It's wild, you can hear all the side information, how it's just guitars, like ambience for the drums, and like a ride and some vocal effects. Pretty cool, I think. I'm just listening to the very tip of the ride. Like I'm trying to hear kind of where that what's happening in the compression in that ride. I don't know why I keep on coming back to 6. So 6 millisecond attack time. 0.1, so we'll go ahead and audition 0.1 against 6 and see which one we like more. Make a decision and move on. I like 6. It allows more of that like ride ping through. We'll do the same thing. We'll start kind of playing around with the release time. So let's check that out. This one's interesting. So whenever I take the release and I speed it up, you can hear the guitars just get super pushed to the front of the mix. But they start getting a little crunchy. So whenever I speed this release up, the guitars start crunching harder and they get bigger, but that's not always a good thing because listen to what happens to all the other information. It starts getting crunchy and nasty. So let's take the release from that auto setting and we'll go ahead and bump it all the way up to the point like 50 milliseconds. And you'll hear that guitar come straight forward and get really crunchy. Now I just have to ask myself, do I want a crunchy guitar or do I want a smooth guitar? Do I want like crunchy sides or do I want smooth breathing sides? And I think in a world of like very fatiguing audio that's just constantly beating you from all different directions, let's be different. Let's go for something smooth. Dude, the 600 millisecond release. I don't know. I've never used it in my life before. I like it. It just feels like I don't know. It's like whenever I roll it to 600 milliseconds, I feel like the track is just kind of dancing a little bit more, and I like how that feels. So I guess one of the big things between mastering and mixing is mixing, you're focusing on the sonics. Mastering, I'm focusing on the feel. So how does it feel? Does it feel good? Does it make me want to like just bob my head and tap my foot? You know, am I gonna get a speeding ticket while listening to this song? Basically. So if I'm not gonna get a speeding ticket, it's not fucking right. So we'll go ahead and bypass this in and out, and we'll hear what that compression is doing to the sides. You can just hear it's like taking the guitar, pushing it down, bringing all the cymbals and ride information way up. So I'll go ahead and bypass it one more time, make sure we're level matched. It's a little bit crunchy, but I like it. We'll go ahead and kick it back into regular mode. So we're level matched. We like the flavor of the center. We like the flavor of the sides. Compressor's out. I don't even know what this is going to sound like all put together yet. We're going to experience it for the first time. So I'm going to hit play. We'll bypass it in, and we'll hear what we've done. So it's not a humongous, drastic difference between the mix. It just kind of takes the sides, pins them down a little bit, and then I get way more like dance and energy. I feel like the vocal is way more locked in the center, and I feel like that snare is just popping really good and hard. So I'm going to listen to this again real quick. I'll bypass this in and out one more time. I'm going to make sure that I'm not collapsing the stereo width compared to the original mix. If anything, I might want to enhance it, but I will say after listening to the original mix a lot, I think it does have good width, so I don't want to play around. And one thing I will have to do, because I am clipping my converters coming back in, I'll have to take the gain back by one click on each side. But I'm bringing it down uniformly, so it's like a half a dB click on both sides, just to make sure I'm not clipping that converter yet, because I want to clip later. We're good, we're not clipping. Going to pull. I'm gonna play with this filter saturation, because this Buzz Plus is being fed by this right here. So the Comp 1's being fed by the filter saturation group. I'm gonna play with the volume. I'm gonna push harder into the Buzz Plus, and I'm gonna pull back out of the Buzz Plus a little tiny bit. That way we can kind of play with that compression level, how hard we're driving into it. So very simple. We dialed it all up with a setting of 0. So if we ever want to get back to where we were, pop the fader at 0. Here we go. like that. Just backing the makeup gain down by like 2 clicks and then driving into it maybe a little tiny bit harder. So I do have this cool bus set up right here I got to show you guys. It's called a pre-master bus. So on the actual track, I have a pre-fader send right here that goes to this pre-master. So at any time at all in this process, I can go back and I can reference the original mix and compare it to what I'm doing. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do that right now. So I'm going to send this to the stream. This needs to go to the right spot, sorry. That way you guys can hear it. Boom. And then we'll go ahead and I'm going to level match the original mix with what we've got so far on the compression and the saturation filter side of things. And then we'll be able to hear if we're making a difference or not, basically. If we're making a positive difference or not. Sweet, so pulling the level back more out of a processor down the road is not a bad thing to do. So you'll notice I had to pull the original volume back a little bit to hear what we've done with the Bus Plus. It's because I don't want to clip my converters yet, so I had to pull that level back. So I'm going to level match that, and we're going to make sure that we're actually doing this track some good. So this is where we started so far, and then I'll play you what we've got right now.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
So there's like a weightiness and a low end to the original mix that I feel like I'm starting to kind of lose after I'm doing all this compression. And that's why we have these 2 EQ stages here down the road that we're going to hit. Yeah, we'll have these 2 EQ stages down the road that we'll be able to hit. That'll take care of some of that. Another thing too that the Bus Plus can do that we haven't even tried yet is adding it back at the Bus Plus level. I forgot about that. We have low frequency Pultec bands and dynamic EQs. Let's rescue it.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
All right, so we're listening back to the master we've got going on so far. Let's go ahead and pop in some of these dynamic bands and see what's up with these guys.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
So low band, this is a low frequency expander on the center channel.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear.
I like that in fast attack mode. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this back down to 0 and we'll roll it up.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
All right, we can click one button and pop it in and out.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Just like that, I feel like we've got our low end back. So I'm going to go ahead and compare that against the original again. All right, guys, I didn't realize I had my iPhone camera was in the way there. So here we go. You guys can see. This is the pre-master right here is the green bus. And then this is where we are, the comp 1. So I'll make sure that our low end is where it needs to be.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
There we go. Now our low end is back, being more on par with where we were at the pre-master. It's just controlled. So that's essentially all it is just controlling it. All right, switching back over to the gear cam. We're bringing the gear cam back. Let's see if we can squish the sides a little tiny bit and get some more high-end excitement out of those. I don't need the low band on the sides. I just want the high band.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
feel like that might be grabbing a little too much of the guitars, so I'm going to change the frequency on that to more the cymbal area. We're down here at 4K, we're grabbing at 4K. Let's move it more like 6K and see what that sounds like.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in my.
It's still grabbing like a little bit of the top fizz. One of the mix notes was like maybe add a little bit more fizz to the guitars when the chorus hits. So this is going to help do that. So I'm going to go ahead and bypass this in and out, and we'll make sure we're doing a good thing to this.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Let's play around with the low frequency on the sides. See if we can thicken up the sides a little bit.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in my dear. Wait right there.
Alright, we'll go ahead and listen to our before and after bus again, make sure that we didn't overcook anything. This is going to be a common theme. We're going to be referencing this a lot.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know.
This is the original.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
And this is the master.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
I'm going to go back and forth again real quick, make a couple of very, very fast decisions.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you can put in my dear. Wait right before you know it.
Alright, I think we're in a good place with this guy. I'm going to go ahead and we'll move on to our upward expansion. Oh, I tell you what, before we do that, let's compare this against what I would normally do with the Very-Mu. Flip the Very-Mu real quick, and I'll show you kind of how I use that in my mastering situation. You can hear what this is going to do compared to... So this is the old way I used to master, compared to this new tool we've just added. Let's check it out. So Very-Mu, this pulls up. First thing you want to do is switch the high-pass filter up. And then looks like I've pretty much already got this thing... Yeah, I pulled right up to my settings. Heck yeah. So threshold, so fast attack, or sorry, fast release. I start with my attack as slow as it goes, and then, I'm going to start with my attack at noon. What I'm looking for here basically is when the snare, I want that needle to just go boop, and that's it. It just like, something about the way it reshapes the transient of a snare drum on the 2-bus level is really, really hard to beat. And I've talked about this before in previous videos, but I started doing this after I had a master go to Ted Jensen at Sterling, or a whole album went to him, and I got it back, and the way he handles transients really fucked my head up, dude. And so far, this is the closest thing I can get to it. They're the tool I found that gets me closest. And it only works on the bus level. Like, I can't just throw this on my drum bus and get the same result. It only happens at the 2-bus level, and I don't know why, because it's only grabbing the snare drum. But here we go. I'll go ahead and dial back the threshold, play with the attack. Before and after, you can hear what's happening with it.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
That was way too much. Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
That's already too much.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear.
Right there, it just came to life. I don't know where, but right there, that snare just started popping. So I'm just not gonna fuck with it, not gonna overthink it. I like what that did.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
All right, we'll go ahead and hear what these are doing. So this is Bus Plus.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
And Very Mew.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
That's a tough one, man. That's tough. I like the saturation that the Very Mew has, and I like what it does to the snare, and I like the width.
Wait back before you know it. Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Tough.
Wait right there. We'll be back wait right there.
I love how it makes the vocal sound. Tell you what, I really like how this is sounding, man. I like the tone of this box. So I'm gonna reset this to factory. We're just gonna set everything. Threshold, yeah, attack as slow as it goes. Let's just get some box tone.
Wait
Oh damn, I guess we can't get box tone, can we?
right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Yeah, I don't want the compressor to fire. I just want the tone. The tone.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Sure, I've got a good level match without this compressor firing.
Wait right there.
Ooh, more headroom. Let's do that.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Oh, that was the key. Just add more headroom.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
I'm just gonna see what this sounds like if I add a little bit of this manly tone and do that slightest little bit of that snare treatment, and we're gonna feed that into the Bus Plus. So maybe we'll get the best of both.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear. Wait right there. We'll be
All right, same story. I'm just gonna look down, hit the bypass button a million times. Here we go. Not looking. I have no idea the state of the unit. You guys know more than I do right now. Here we go.
wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my
Whatever that is, I like how that feels. Like I was listening to the snare at first, and I had to tell myself, quit listening to the fucking snare and listen to how the song feels. Which one feels better? This one feels better to me. I don't know what it is. Let's find out. No Very Mew. We're ditching it. Be gone. Don't overthink it. Don't second guess it. Trust your gut. We're moving forward. Upward expansion. Here we go. OTT.
wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
Alright. You'll notice I'm going to have a little preset on here. This is the Buster preset. Stole this from Buster Oldham, but I use the depth all the way at 0, and then we'll start kind of bringing this up. And what this does is the downward compression is at 0. Everything is at stock. Everything is at stock. Time is at 0, so it's as fast as it'll go. And then upward expansion is set to 100, which is technically in this unit actually 50% because it goes to 200, which is actually 100%. So it's about 50%, i.e. 100%. And depth, I'm probably going to land. So This is not going to be a subtle effect. Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, where? Crystal clear. You get back what you put in, my dear.
Right about in there, it starts feeling good. I'm going to bypass this. This is going to be very apparent.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, where?
I like what it's doing. I have to level match.
Wait,
Might be overcooking a little bit.
wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, where? Crystal clear. You get back what you put in.
Softens the snare a little tiny bit. I'm literally at 1%, but you can hear there's like a subtle like softening it's giving me on the snare drum.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, where?
I don't like it. Let's go without it. Fuck it. Don't second guess it. Caden says, ooh, got a good question. Pop this over. Caden says, do you have go-to settings on the Vary, or do you just feel it out? I have a starting spot. So here, I'll show you what my starting spot is. Pop over here. Let me get a bigger screen that way I can show you real fast. So for me, on this guy, I've dialed this up in a way that I never dial this up, so this is not like my go-to at all. But headroom, I never touch it. I always leave it however it is when it pulls up. The side chain, I always pop that in because I don't like. My recovery is almost always on fast. And the magic for me is between the attack and the threshold. So I always end up with my attack somewhere between noon and 3 o'clock. Like somewhere in there is a sweet spot when it just starts grabbing snare drums. And then if you'll see here, even when I have it dialed, like this meter is only going to move on the snares, and it's like you might not even be able to see it move on YouTube. I don't even know. But let's see.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, where?
Yeah, so it's like not even a quarter of a dB of like movement in that meter. But that is dramatic. Like that is a humongous difference in the transient shape of the snare drum. But yeah, it's literally just to shape the snare drum at the 2-bus level. That's essentially the only reason why I use this thing. Like, I don't like how it sounds when I dive into it, or I dig in. I don't like what it does to the low end. I just like it on snare drum. That's it. But went with something else. Let's see, we didn't like OTT. We'll ditch that. EQ2, let's rock. Or EQ stage 1. Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before.
Ooh, Bad Jordan, that had some leftover mastering in it.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
And all of this entire process is I'm asking myself, well, what does the song need? What's it need? Does it even need EQ? Is there anything I can fix? Is there a resonance that's bothering me? Like, what does the song need? So I'm going to listen at this point. I've shaped the compression. I've shaped the dynamics. I've got the saturation kind of where I like it. So I'm going to ask myself tonally, stylistically, is there any changes that need to be made to this? Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, where? You get back what you put in, my dear.
Just for kicks, let's try the API Clearphonic. I'm going to pop it in up here. Bus Plus has hardwire bypass, so I don't have to turn that on at all. I can just leave it turned off. And then my Clearphonic is wired straight into that. So we're going to go straight for this silky airband. Now, I'm going to have to move my gear cam over here, that way you guys can see this. Oh no! Oh, there we go. Here's the Clearphonic. I'm just going to hold this right here while I'm doing this. That way you guys can at least see see what I'm doing.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, crystal clear. You can pack what you put in, my dear.
So I like what the Shimmer's doing. So now I have to make a decision: Sheen or Shimmer.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh,
Shimmer. I feel like Sheen was grabbing too much of the guitars. And then, so now that I have that figured out, it's going to be Shimmer. I'm going to pop this out, and we'll figure out the focus one that we're getting along with. So here we go.
wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, crystal.
And there we go. Diffuse at lift. So lift is kind of like a bell at like 2-3K. And then open is a shelf at 2-3K going down. Or sorry, going up. So yeah, lift and open, and then tight and diffuse is like another version. So you're essentially layering two shelves on top of each other. So you have this version of the shelf, and then you're stacking another version of the shelf on. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the Bus Plus. We'll get that rock. There we go. That's back on the Bus Plus. And I'm going to dial in. I'm going to match the settings between the left and the right. Pull this up for you. I'll match up the settings between the left and the right on the Clairphonic. So we're on Shimmer. There we go. We like that. Diffuse. And I'm just going to roll these knobs until we get some cool analog parallel high end happening. Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, crystal clear. You can pack what you put in, my dear.
Here we go. That's in. That's rocking. I like what that's doing. I'm going to bypass that in and out, and we'll see. Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh,
Dude, that Clairphonic is so magic. That thing is so magic. Oh snap, I'm here, breaking the rules at work to watch. Shh, don't tell my supervisor. Colt, your secret is safe with me, buddy. I'm not telling him. You're secretly at work watching me master a song. I'll write you a note. Send me his email. I'll send him an email saying, hey, Colt needs a 5-minute break. He's got to watch a dude master a song. That's why he's not present. I think I'm joking. Send me his email. Actually, I will send him an email with my letterhead on it, saying this man needs to pass some work today. All right, so here we go. I'm going to bypass the API Clairphonic in and out, and you can hear what kind of crazy. I always fall in love with this unit every time I use it. Like I fall in love with it repeatedly every single day. Here we go.
wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh, crystal clear.
Dude, the top end it adds is just, it's impossible to make it harsh. Like you can definitely make it too bright. You can definitely make something way too bright, but you're not going to make it harsh. Like you're never going to make somebody grab their ears and go, oh shit, that's painful. They're just going to be like, bro, why is there no fucking low end? Here we're going to play it again.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Oh,
Loving it. I'm loving it. All right, so we'll move on to... Well, the Pro Q is also a mid-side EQ, so I will have to pull one back in here real quick. So Pro Q4. So this is where I've got my tonal shaping, I've got my dynamics figured out. Now I'm going to go ahead and dial in, like kind of play with some mid-side. So I'm going to see if there's anything at all in like the stereo spectrum that I need to fix on the EQ level. So let's check that out.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
I'm just gonna play with like maybe trying to bring the body of the snare out in the center channel a little bit. Might not need it, but I'm just gonna try it. Switch this over to mid.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it. Crystal clear. You get back what you put in my teeth.
Same thing. We'll bypass it a bit. And so I won't know. Here we go.
Wait right there. We'll be back before you know it.
I think that's out. I think I can hear it. Yeah, that's too much. If I can hear it like that crazy and pin it, it's too much. Let's move on. Because I'm already locking down the low end with dynamic bands here. I don't have to use the multi-band here. Here we go. This is my final check, guys. This is it. So we'll clear this out. I've got a series of, you can see the songs I'm ripping right there. But some of my favorite mixers, I grab their EQ curves and I see what it looks like. Fit for a King curve. I just hate how they put this dip in this fucking, whoever did that, why? I love the curve, I just don't like that. So, Pale Iris. This is a tape machine, Oxide CCIR on. Super musical, like low end tape bump, kind of small, like top end bump. Same thing, I got a Pink Noise curve. If I ever want to match my mix to Pink Noise, it's right there. But yeah, some of my favorite Buster's mixing. It's Cole Wetzel stuff for like anytime I'm doing something. Actually, this might be a good one for that. Let's try that. Let's try Good Die Young. That's very sonically in a similar place to what we've got going on here. So I'll go to a loud spot in my mix. Life hack, don't use this in stereo mode. If you're trying to do like a mastering gig, don't use this in stereo. Switch